Shane stood at the stove, stirring the macaroni into the boiling water. He didn't much like cooking, but soon after their first fight, he'd learned flowers and chocolate were not key to fixing things with Amy. Birch had recommended cooking her a nice meal, so he had taught himself how to fix her favorite, his fail-safe plan for every time he fucked up. Except this time, he had no clue what he'd done to piss her off. Amy seemed so happy and excited when he proposed. Then, as if a switch had been pressed, she got all emotional and shit. If she was any other girl, he'd chalk it up to girl stuff, but Amy wasn't like other girls. She wasn't prone to fits of emotional outbursts. Shane loved her. He told her so. He wanted to marry her. What the fuck did he do wrong? He stirred the cheese into the macaroni. So far, the simple recipe had worked. 236 to 0. Not bad odds for a guy who caught the kitchen on fire the first time he cooked cheeseburgers in the frying pan. He set the spoon down and cracked his knuckles. Here's hoping for 237. Hey, babe. She tossed her sneakers on the floor and smiled as she turned into the kitchen. But she didn't seem happy. Her eyes were swollen and red. Fuck. Hungry? Nodding, she draped her purse on the ladder-back chair before sitting. She took a bite and glanced up at him. Thank you. This time the smile appeared more genuine. But her eyes indicated he wasn't out of the woods yet, and if he didn't navigate this evening perfectly, he'd be docking with Alamo tonight. As they ate, she told him about buying worms at Abe's. Amy told him of Carmen's latest fight with Derek, and them both getting arrested during makeup sex in the back of Derek's truck. Most women who just got engaged would rush out and buy wedding magazines. They'd be debating colors, flowers, and a romantic locale for a honeymoon. But not Amy. She was more interested in worms and Carmen's makeup sex. God, he loved her. So where's my brother? Oh, I dropped him off at his friend's house. I told him I didn't want him hanging out with that freaky kid. How do you know it's Zach? 'Cause he doesn't have any other friends. Then let him have this one. I want to be at the creek by 6 tomorrow morning. So let's get to bed early. From behind, he wrapped his arms around her small waist and pressed a kiss to the crook of her neck. He whirled her to face him. Off to bed it is. That's not what I... He covered her lips with a hand, drowning her words. Hush. His pelvis tight against her hips, he pinned her against the sink. When her body leaned into his erection pushed painfully against the crotch of his jeans. He kissed her. He slipped his hands under her shirt and pulled it over her head. Shoving him, she shot a glance over her shoulder, out the window. With one hand, she drew the curtains. With the other, she covered her breasts. Don't let the neighbors see Brassy and Sassy. What neighbors? Amy dipped under him. escaping from his grasp, and fled through the den. Her taut ass turned the corner and vanished down the hall. 237. Grinning, he dashed after her. The bedroom door slammed in his face. When he tried the knob, it didn't budge.
What's the magic word?
He had been gone 10 days with nothing to comfort him but his right hand. He was so damn horny he could barely think straight, nodding through dinner, struggling to stay focused on the conversation and not her. "Let me in."
Nope, try again.
Shane heard the bedroom radio crank. "I guess you don't want me to screw your brains out? I swear to God I will kick this door down if you don't open it. You know I will." Isaac sprinted after Galmoria. Her taunting laughter echoed deep within the large tunnel. His bare feet pounded the coarse bone as he flung himself into the depths of Nefrich's bowels. The furious wasps caused a patchwork of welts to seize his bare chest, pumping hot toxicity straight to his heart. His skin turned sallow. Stings to his groin left white bubbles of pus on his throbbing cock. Galmoria wished him nothing but sorrow and pain, and she would deliver as much as possible, and all in the name of the sacred ritual, which he had no choice but to engage in. Not if he wanted to fuck his mate. The bottom dropped from beneath him. Looking around, he discovered he was in a small ferry. Over a dozen wharf rats scurried inside the boat. A large, monstrous rat carved in the wood at each end. On the opposite end, a small brown-haired boy wearing a red cloak rowed. Stalactites made of sharp bones jutted from above, and Isaac was forced to duck.
"Samuel of the Rats, at your service."
"Where is she? Where is Galmoria?"
"'Tis not my place to know such things, sir. Only I have known the rodents for 2 centuries.
"Get me to shore."
"Impossible, sir. Ye are my passenger on a cursed voyage." "The rats and pigs will come for thee. The rivers and bones will have your soul. Thou eyes and liver will rot with me. Ye shall pay the eternal toll."
"Enough!"
Isaac's dagger cut through the boy's neck. Glancing back, Isaac growled at the same boy, now seated at the opposite end. The rats scurried between the 2 cloned fairy boys.
"My master said, if thou discerners him, methought I known a beast, but man is he. Behold this creature, he is no king, of man or beast."
"Cease your ridicule, fiendish slave. I shall rule your soul."
A rat chomped at Isaac's foot and he kicked, sending the rodent hurling into the muddy water. A yagyat, slender albino snake-like creature with a barbed tail, swallowed the rat whole with its fish-like large mouth.
"Thou murdered Osklot!"
He stabbed another rat onto his dagger. Both visages of the boy violently shook. They merged as one, the original one. The boy charged and pummeled Isaac with tiny fists. With a swift arc of his blade, he lopped Samuel's head off. The severed head splashed into the dark river. The remaining rats jumped over the rim of the boat and swam toward the head.
"The whole world shall follow the beast. Hail the king."
A fern-green light lit the tunnel. As the boat drifted closer, the cavern gradually opened into a vast room, at least 10 stories high and wide, all cast in the same green glow. The boat suddenly ran aground. The river went dry. A swarm of yag-yats that had been lurking beneath the water slithered into the shadows. White sand rained from above.
Poor Samuel. Such a sweet, sweet boy. A Libris too. Such puny children.
Show yourself, mother. Come to me.
Don't be hasty, my cub. Mother wants foreplay.
The grit covered the boat, reaching to Isaac's knees now. He spotted the rats carrying Samuel's head up wide black steps. Isaac followed. The steps felt like rubber, rotten muscle of Nephruch. The sand fell harder and faster. It spilled over his head and bit into his cuts and wounds caused by the wasps, rats, and his self-inflicted laceration to his chest. At the top of the steps, Vostrict perched on what appeared to be a petrified mushroom large enough to serve as a throne. Its tail went erect, the stinger shooting thick venom. Isaac took a face full of the poison as he leaped on Vostrict's back. Isaac straddled the scorpion as if it were a raging bull and held onto the creature's bone-hard carapace.
Take me out of here, Vostrict. Obey me, you pest.
Vostrict scurried down the steps, but not before his stinger stabbed into Isaac's back. The scorpion dug through the sand, burying deeper and deeper, taking Isaac with him. Isaac's vision blurred. Vostrict's poison relentlessly coursed through his body, a mixture of lava and ice, scorching and simultaneously freezing. His muscles locked. Couldn't even open his jaw to curse the arachnid. Vostrict crashed through a floor of sinew. The cavern and green lights vanished, replaced by a vast purple sky and clouds of pale lavender. Isaac rolled off the scorpion. With trembling hands, he splashed his face. Blood from his fresh wounds seeped into the water and was carried by the returning tide. His muscles were stiff like bolts and rods had been inserted into his limbs and torso, and his teeth chattered, and his heart thundered, and he thought he might be dying. When he looked into the sky, the colors melded. He forced himself to stand on rigid, shaky legs. In the last 100 years, he'd wandered the planets of numerous galaxies, always alone, but never lonely. Glancing at the sky, he longed to see his twin, know what she was thinking, what she was doing. Was she safe? Was his wraith serving her well? He had finally found his twin. He would no longer be alone. But standing on this beach, in this forsaken universe, awaiting his demonic mother, he felt cold and alone. A behemoth of a two-headed wolf with squid tentacles rose from the sea. Mist shrouded its lower half, but Galmoria could be clearly seen riding on its back. She rode her mount onto the shore, still wearing her boots, but nothing else. The salt water dripped from her naked body, and Isaac's cock throbbed with anticipation and need. The need to dominate her.
Hello, Mother.